regarding the economy of Syria. You mentioned
Now
the
you're going to
currency.
test me now because I can't, you know, go for it, but I may not be able to answer.
No, the currency went down, as you said. Also, the sanctions probably have had its toll on the people up there and their ability of purchasing power. A third thing is that some friends of Syria have cut off the water, like the Euphrates River, as we learned recently. And this will definitely have a big impact on the agriculture in the country. Have you monitored that, the impact of Turkey cutting off the Euphrates, which is a major river, even it has an impact on Iraq? How would that impact on the people of Syria, and how would it aggravate your aiding program?
We have not monitored that, and the Turkish government also said that they had not done this. So this is something that we need to find some additional information about, but it's not something that we have monitored. More generally on the economic impact, the impact of sanctions is something that the Syrian government raise constantly in terms of the impact that this has had inside the country. Given some of the difficulties, I've explained the complexity of moving around. I mean, we are not able to say categorically this is what the impact of sanctions has been, but they will have had some kind of impact. You will know that on issues like essential medicines and so on, it's very important that they are able to get in, and we have continued to make that point. The issue on medicines has not been so much are they available, it has been that the Syrian government has systematically removed medicines from many of our convoys going into opposition-controlled areas, which is something that we have reported on constantly to the Security Council.
How many refugees are in the government-controlled areas versus those in the other areas?
Refugees.
I mean internally
displaced. Do you
mean
internally displaced
people? Yeah.
I don't have that. I don't have that figure in front of me. I'm sure that we have it. If you will contact Amanda afterwards, we can let you know.
Thank you, Mrs. Amos. What's the status of the refugees who are moving back and forth between Syria and the neighboring countries? Are they still considered refugees? Because there is a big debate in Lebanon, for example, on this point. And two, what's the situation in Yarmouk refugee camps in Damascus? Thank you.
In terms of people moving backwards and forwards, people are considered refugees if they have registered with UNHCR as refugees in Lebanon and in Jordan or in Iraq. You'll know that the situation in Turkey is a little different because the Turkish government itself handles all the registration and the establishment of the camps. There's support from UN agencies in terms of the cash programs that have been put in place for those people living in those camps or in those communities. People do continue to move back and forth across the borders. This was raised with me when I was in Lebanon earlier in the year. It's also been raised between the Lebanese, I think, and Syrian governments. But crucially, people are recognized as refugees if they have registered as refugees inside Lebanon or inside Jordan. Well, I mean, I don't. The majority of people who are registered are registered. It's majority women and children who are registered as refugees. I think that, I mean, in crossing that border myself between Lebanon and Syria, you quite often see commercial activity or people who may be, I've been told, going back to check on the state of their property maybe. But people stay in Lebanon registered as refugees. So I don't know what the status is of those people who are going backwards and forwards. In terms of Yarmouk, we are, or UNRWA have been able to make a limited number of, on a limited number of days, have been able to get food and essential supplies into Yarmouk, but they have been small by comparison to the numbers of Palestinian refugees who are still there and who, to all intents and purposes, are still under siege.
Sang-Wan Yoon from Bloomberg News. 2 questions. You've spoken about the example of...
Ms. Amos, can you describe to us the conveying of aid from Turkey and from Iraq as well? Because we heard many times that you, from the CBE, I think you carried direct from Turkey, direct aid into Syria. Was that with the consent of the government? Also into Al-Qamishli, I think you delivered aid. So which areas are still blocked in that respect?
Okay, let me pick up on Nabil and Zara, which I forgot, and then come to your point. So we had a team in Aleppo that were trying to access aid into Nabil and Zara. It became quite difficult because the terms of the arrangements changed, but we were able to get some aid in. On your point about the border crossing between Iraq and Syria and then across from Qamishli, we have been trying over many months to use the crossing at Nusbayan, which is more effective for us in terms of getting aid into Al-Hasaka in the east of Syria. It's been very difficult to get the agreement of the Syrian government to that, and they then proposed the Qamishli crossing, which is a border crossing with Turkey. The Turkish government have agreed twice, on 2 occasions, that we have made the request that we can use that border crossing point, but they have also said to us that there are other crossing points across the Syrian-Turkish border that need to be looked at, which would, because remember it's a very long border with Turkey from east to west, and they are particularly concerned about getting aid to people in Aleppo.
How do you describe the returnees, to Homs? Were you there? Did you witness any massive return to the city? Also, wherever it was said that wherever the opposition occupies any territory, people flee. Is that correct? For example, in Deir Zur, more than 100,000 left when al-Nusra took over. Does that apply to other areas?
In terms of Homs, after the final set of fighters came out, people did start to go back. They didn't stay. They went back to see what state either their homes were in or their neighborhoods were in. As far as the figures I have so far, we haven't seen any kind of mass return because, of course, so much has been destroyed inside Homs. It's very hard to say, but the early indications that we were getting was because people were concerned that basically things had been destroyed and there was nothing there. So I think over time people will seek to rebuild. What we have seen in terms of displacement is increasingly, as the violence intensifies in certain parts of the country, and particularly most recently the violence, you've had the ongoing violence between the government and opposition groups on the ground, but most recently you saw more violence as well between some of the opposition groups, which has also sparked further displacement. So that's what we were trying to reflect in our report.
Mr. Abadi.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Ms. Amos, for this briefing. I wouldn't ask you about Chapter 7 because I think that will mean the end of the peace process in the future, and the proposal would be vetoed anyway. But I have 2 questions. One, given the complexity that you underlined and the violence in Syria, how are the various UN agencies coping with the problem of coordination? Two, do you think that with the new elections and coming back to power of President Assad, do you think that there may be some flexibility regarding access to humanitarian places that need humanitarian assistance? Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of coordination on the ground, we have a humanitarian coordinator, Yakuba El Hilio, who reports directly to me. He is responsible for bringing together the humanitarian country team, which is composed of the heads of the different UN agencies and our NGO partners. We also have a strong relationship, as you know, with the Syrian Arab Red Crescent, and we have a OCHA office that supports his work and undertakes the coordination. On the issue of have new opportunities been created this week, I have no idea. I mean, we will continue as we have always done. So the humanitarian coordinator, the heads of the agencies inside Syria have regular meetings with counterparts representing the government seeking access. We have given them all of the hard-to-reach areas that we want to reach. We submit our note verbals about where we want to go. A committee has been established by the government to seek to facilitate those discussions. From my perspective, sometimes this is far too slow. And of course, in the field, we continue to have our ongoing discussions with governors, but also representatives of opposition parties on the ground, because that's the only way that we can facilitate the kind of access that we need.